Hello, everybody, and good day to you. And here we have a special guest. This is José Hernandez from NASA, an honest-to-goodness real astronaut right here visiting in Mcallen. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great, Neil. How about yourself?
Well, so far it's a very, very, very good day. Now, how long have you been an astronaut?
I have been an astronaut since 2004. I was in the 2004 class where we got selected and basically trained for 2 years till 2006. That's when we became eligible for flight assignments. And in 2008, I got my first flight assignment, and then I realized the mission STS-128 in 2009, August through September of last year.
Not that long ago.
Not that long ago, exactly.
Yeah. Now, as you said, you told me you're originally from California.
Yes.
And, well, that's not too far away from Texas.
No, I've driven it every summer to go take my kids to Grandma and Grandpa, and it's a long distance.
Now, one thing that everybody really wants to know about, being an astronaut is the study, the work that it takes to get there. I mean, it's just not a job you go apply for, is it?
That's right. It's nothing you decide on a whim and say, okay, I think I'll be an astronaut tomorrow. It's something you got to plan for your whole life, and you need an element of preparation. That means you got to get yourself a good education in the science fields. You got to have a good plan to get the right experience so that NASA takes a look at you. And most importantly, you got to have perseverance. It took me 12 years to get selected as an astronaut.
How many times did you apply?
12 times I applied. Usually they select the class every 2 or 4 years. The first 6 years, they just sent me form letters saying, don't call us, we'll call you. And in the last 6 years, I interviewed for 3 classes. And it was on the third try that, say third time's a charm, I got selected in 2004.
Well, that's a common story that I know of. Of course, I've only talked to Mike Fossum, who grew up here in Mcallen, and he applied 7 or 8 times.
That's correct. That's correct. And Mike Fossum is my office mate. So his desk is right next to mine. And as a matter of fact, he kind of gets mad at me a little bit because he thinks I'm moving in on his turf, coming here to the valley and talking to the kids. Exactly.
Well, it's so nice that you do talk to the kids.
Absolutely. I think kids need role models, and I understand the importance of being a role model, because what got me interested, or actually had me make the personal promise to myself of becoming an astronaut, was when I heard that the first Latino American got selected as an astronaut. That was Dr. Franklin Chang Diaz back in 1980. I was a senior in high school, and I heard that news, and once I saw someone that looked like me that was going to be an astronaut, I said, well, hey, if he can do it, why can't I? And so that's what...
Do they ask you that question when you talk to kids in schools?
What question?
About, you say, hey, if you can do it, can I do it?
Absolutely. I think it's more from just showing them, basically talking about myself, the experiences that I have, and making them realize that, hey, that guy's not too different from me, and he was able to be an astronaut, so why can't I do it? I like them to arrive at that conclusion on their own. And then I think by telling the story of my background, that they kind of come to that conclusion at the end. Because that's what I came to, that conclusion, when I heard that Dr. Franklin Chang Diaz got selected.
But as you said, you had to get the education, and you had to make yourself eligible for the job.
That's correct. That's correct. It's only an opportunity if you're prepared for it, if you prepare yourself for it. Else it's not an opportunity, because you're not going to be qualified to take advantage of that opportunity. So you have to prepare yourself, and education is the key to preparing yourself.
Now, you mentioned it wasn't that many months ago you got to fly. Right. Do you have any other assignments that are in the future right now? No,
I think they may be sending me to headquarters for about 6 months to help out over there. Understand they need a little bit of help over there, but my expectation is I'm going to come back and fly a long duration flight just like Mike Fossum for 6 months.
Okay, you're up in the...
Up on the Soyuz, up on the International Space Station, yes.
Wow. Now is that considered a plum assignment? A good one?
It's considered an assignment. It's a little bit more commitment with respect to training. You have to train for 2.5 years, and half of that time is out of this country, you're training, because it's an international space station, so the modules that are there, you have to train in other countries. And then, then when you come back from your 2.5 years of training, you're going to be gone for 6 months. So it's not it's something you got to think about before you sign on a dotted line saying, I'll fly on station.
But it's different, it's unique, it sounds exciting.
Yes. Yeah, it's up in space. It's being in a zero-G environment.
Now, when you're in a zero-G environment, they say it atrophies your muscles a little bit. Do you have to work at that when you're up there?
Absolutely. You have a muscle atrophy because of the fact that you're in a zero-G environment. You're not using your leg muscles. You're not using much of your arm muscles because everything floats. You can be carrying a refrigerator and you're not exerting yourself. And so we have pieces of equipment out there on the International Space Station, and we have an exercise protocol that astronauts have to exercise at least 1 full hour a day just to mitigate the effects of muscle atrophy and also bone density loss.
Okay, so you have to work at that to prevent it from...
Exactly. We have to work hard at it to prevent it.
Now, one thing that Fossum told me way back when, he says, when you're on the flight, when you get to go up there, he says, you really don't sleep because you're working all the time and you're really excited. Is that true?
That's true. That's true, but I did sleep. I mean, I had no problem sleeping. I mean, you talk about Tempur-Pedic mattresses. Well, in space, you're just floating up there, and that's the ultimate mattress. Because there's no pressure points on your body. You're in the sleeping bag, and you zip yourself up. You make sure you tie the corners of the sleeping bag, because if not, you're going to float all over the place. But it's so peaceful. It's so peaceful because you have no pressure points. And it's amazing. I had no problem sleeping up in space.
Is it true that you use a lot of Velcro in the space station?
Absolutely, everything, because the littlest things here on the ground that we take for granted become big jobs up in space. When you here in the ground, you would think nothing of eating 3 or 4 different items during a lunch. You got your peas, your carrots, your meat, and other vegetables, and your bread. Well, in space, guess what? You have to be hanging on to everything, because if you just let it go for a little while, you turn your head and then you look for it, it's gone. So everything has to have, your water bag has to have Velcro. The little containers that have the food has Velcro, because you get a little bit of something, put it there, grab it and get a little bit of something and stick it back on Velcro. Oh, wow. So yeah, Velcro is our friend up in space.
That sounds wonderful. Now, what do they have you doing in Mcallen right now?
Right now, I'm talking to a bunch of high school kids, and it's a dual enrollment program from what I understand. These kids in high school are enrolled in a high school where they also take college courses, and after 4 years of high school, they walk away with an AA degree, 2 years of college, and their high school diploma, which I think it's a great opportunity for them to get a head start on their college education. And I'm here just to talk a little bit about STEM, about science, technology, engineering, mathematics, get the kids excited about these career fields, because these kids are our future, and if our country is going to stay at the forefront of technology, we have to engage every segment of our population into science and technology. And of course, here in the Valley, they're as important as anywhere else in the country.
That's so true. And anybody can do it today.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, you just got to be willing to put the work in, burn that midnight oil, and get your degree, and you can be an engineer. Anyone can be an engineer. Anyone can be an astronaut if they want.
Now, as you said, you can't give up.
You can't give up. Perseverance. It took me 12 years. Imagine if I would have given up after the 2nd, 3rd year. And I tell the kids, imagine if I would have given up after the 11th year. I mean, you just don't give up. As long as you keep improving yourself year after year, you got a reason to try again. Just keep trying. Eventually, you'll get there.
Wonderful story. And it's ringing true. It's ringing true. Look, here you are.
That's right.
And there you were.
And there I was. It was great. I mean, we were up there 14 days, went around the world 217 times. Every 90 minutes, we were going around the world, and logged more than 5.4 million miles. It's too bad NASA doesn't have frequent flyer partnership programs with airlines, because then I'll be sitting pretty with...
Well, can you compare that with pilots? How many hours do you have?
Absolutely, yes we can.
Okay. José Hernández, thank you so much. Wonderful information, great conversation.
Neil, it's great being here, and thank you very much for inviting me.
And thank you for visiting.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I'm Neil Canales, MCN.